It's the most effective way that I could be working for peace. I thought when I was in Washington, D.C. that I was working for peace. But nothing comes close to the way in which I feel I can touch people and be touched by people and the type of work that I do now. جملگی دست حکم. Oh, let me try again. جملگی در حکم سه پروانه که جهان افسانه اولین خود را بشن نزدیک کرد گفتم من یافتم منو دومی نزدیک شل بازم گفتم من سوختم از سوزه سومین خود داخل آتشی فکن آری آری این بود خدا Okay.
Okay. Who's Shervin?
I don't know. He's kind of a mixture of all these different things. Iranian, Kurdish, grew up as a British national and as a refugee, then went to the US, now living in Indonesia and Bali. We live in an age where identities are very blurred, which is somehow helping us to, or at least helping me to maybe see a bigger picture about what does identity really mean. I feel like that's something that is a common experience for the many Iranian refugees out there and people who are part of the diaspora throughout the world. I'm sure they can relate to that. It's hard to feel as if you can be accepted by any one particular identity, but at the same time you kind of feel like you can embrace all of it. There are a number of different styles, but it's only really one mindset or approach, and that is one of using music as a form of something other than just entertainment, or something that goes beyond entertainment. Even though a lot of people here are really enjoying it and getting up and dancing, it creates the style that I have, it creates a nice opening to the different ways in which music can create a therapeutic space for people. Music as a form of rhythm and inspiration to use the voice, as a form of connecting with others and creating a feeling of belonging and camaraderie between people. When we sing together, it's impossible for us to feel any sense of disconnect or disjointedness. We find the harmony. Desires within each and every one of my family members to be creative. They all had gifts. They all had a beautiful capacity to be poetic and musical and a good ear. But as is the case with many in our community, it's not really seen as legitimate sometimes to go into the arts, particularly when you're in a place where you have to start from scratch and build up a new life. And many of my family members I know chose the more practical route, the more mainstream route. And for me, I also did that, but it was so damaging to me in terms of me going against the grain of what it is that I really want to share and what I'm really about and what my mission is, that it caused me to get sick. So from that place I had to make some real tough choices about what really matters in life. I came to sound therapy out of self-care because I needed it myself. I couldn't just go to the doctor and the specialist and the physiotherapist and the various other different types of medical workers and do that alone. that alone is just, it just kind of scratches the surface. When you start to learn about the world of energy and what happens underlying these different physical ailments, there's always a non-physical component. And there's also a component that requires a sense of self-responsibility, really having to look at the self and really observe what are the actions that I'm taking, what are the choices that I'm making that lead to these ailments coming and sustaining themselves over as long periods of time. I can take pills for the pain, I can visit with, various types of therapists and get temporary relief, but ultimately I have to be the one who lives with myself every time I go home and get up in the morning and get out into the world. So I have to kind of get into a place where I have to feel, hey, who are you? What are you really about? What are you taking for yourself as a choice in the way that you live, in the way that you are, in the way that you want to express and interact with the world?
And every day. May I walk in beauty today and every day. May the beauty of the fire lift my spirits. May the beauty of the fire lift my spirits. May the beauty of the water wash away all hurt. May the beauty of the water wash away all hurt. May the beauty of the air teach my mind. May the beauty of the air teach my mind. Openness of space. Chekiayo, chekiayo, ahiton wanyanki alohe. Aho. Aho. Moving slowly in the direction of east. Fire, the rising sun. A little bit more toward the corners. Aho. Aho. Connecting to the space underneath the floorboards all the way down to Mother Earth. If you wish, you can bring your hands to connect to the floor.
Well, first of all, I feel like there's a common myth that comes with the world of music, that it belongs only to musicians who are trained and go to a conservatory and have to be the best of the best. Clearly that's not the case, because we have pop and rock and roll artists out there who don't do that. Yeah. But yet they have an image and they have a quality that is meant for entertainment. And yet we give them all kinds of extra attention. In fact, they're the most focused ones. When it comes to the world of modern music, they're the ones who are primary when it comes to our attention. The classically trained and very expert musicians that we hear about tend to be on the fringes. So to me, it kind of brings a question about as to what does it mean to work with energy and sound and music. that creates an entirely different mindset for a person who wants to share their inner world of music. Everybody, each and every one of you and me, we have music inside us. We have inspiration, we understand melody. Some of us feel like we can't be musical, but to me it's just like everything else. You show up to it on a regular basis and it starts to become ingrained. Except in the world of sound energy and music energy, you build a relationship with the instrument itself. You build a relationship that is different to me wanting to play the exact same inflection over and over and over again, where my attention is here over and over and over and over again. And I have absolutely no understanding of what's happening in my peripheral world. I just want to get the perfection down. Sound energy is not about perfection, it's about harmonization. And harmonization requires presence. Presence that expands from this space to this space. When you build a relationship with the instrument, it starts to tell you how it wants to be played. You start to feel a brotherhood or a sisterhood with it. And then you can feel, particularly if you go into nature, if you go into a connection with the natural element that the instrument is connected to, then you start to realize, wow, musical instruments are actually ambassadors. They are bridges to Mother Nature. They're bridges to the different elements. It's so beautiful to be able to discover that in these worlds of Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, where they naturally have an attention to energy. But then when you start to see that you can build a relationship with the instrument as a bridge, then it changes your whole way of sharing the instrument, and your whole perception shifts from having to be a technical master to just creating an essential quality that then can come over, wash over you and wash over the group, the person or persons that you're sharing the music with. And that to me is the essence of the difference between sound and music as, as a thrill, where I'm sitting there and I'm watching a master play over and over again their wonderful rehearsal. But still, it has nothing to do with me as a receiver. It has to do with this person and their world and their way of harnessing and controlling their instrument. You let go of control and perfection, and you have an entirely different relationship. Most of the musicians that I know who I work with in sound and music therapy, they come to me in tears because they've been beaten up by the musical world of entertainment, which requires such a level of pressure to be perfect, pressure to follow a certain standard. And that trickles down to the non-musical people, because they think, oh, I'm not even going to pick this instrument up because I'm not a master. I'm not a technical genius. And it's my goal to kind of reclaim the ownership of the world of music, from the entertainers to the energy workers. I'll sing a line, you sing it back. Wani wachi yalo. Wani wachi yalo. Wani wachi yalo. Wani wachi yalo. tragedy because in terms of our desire and hunger and ability to connect with music, each and every one of us, we all have a natural gift to be able to relate to music, because we know that music touches universally. There is no one culture that owns music. There is no one way of creating music. But to add this style to the mix, I feel is important, because first we can connect to nature and the healing power of nature and the different elements of nature, as we do for the world of Chinese medicine and other Eastern traditions and philosophies. But then you can also be able to overcome some of these fears that we have as kids, many of us told not to touch anything, not to play anything, not to hurt our ears, and that creates a traumatic experience. That, to me, there is healing just in the process of going through the, connecting to an instrument and being able to play simple notes. What I do and the training that I give can encourage people, no matter what their background is, no matter what their personal fears are when it comes to sound and music. We address those. We go through a process where it's kind of a healing journey internally through the different types of instruments. We work with the shamanic instruments that are related to the trees and the water and the earth. And we go into a space where we play with instruments like the guitar and other strings, and we start to feel what it's like to bring in the voice and the bowls. And if we were to boil it down, sound healing is really about a personal healing, a personal ability to listen to what our soul's calling is. The instruments are just simply bridges to getting a better understanding. And I feel like we pollute so much of our mystical wisdom with so much words and so much precision that we lose the essence of the feel of what it's like to just allow the sounds to percolate and travel and go inside the cells. And that's a totally different experience than what we're used to in our world of music today, which is so much about image and so much about technical mastery. It's always interesting because if it's an invitation for everybody, first of all, to get into their voices. And when that happens, people get surprised when we're singing in a way that we're not doing karaoke or, trying to recreate something that is based on a certain formula. Instead, if we just create an opening for these little phrases, these mantras, these texts, ancient texts that have deep meaning, that are meant to give us a sense of greater purpose and to, the quote is raise your vibration. Well, what does that mean? It means meaningful understanding of the world around you and the world internally, and the fact that there is not much difference, that what's happening internally, it becomes a reflection in what's happening around you. And so with these mantric formulas, this euphoria that occurs through this process of repetition is something that has been practiced and understood by ancient sages for hundreds, maybe thousands of years. And to me, it's always astonishing how people start to feel like, wow, I didn't imagine that my voice could do that. I didn't imagine that I could get swept into this wave and be able to come out of my shell a little bit. Your voice is such an important sound therapy tool. It is your most principal one. And we lose it. We shrink our voices so much today. We silence ourselves, not just from swallowing up what we feel, swallowing up our experience and our expression of our experiences for fear of someone reacting or becoming upset about it, but also from this point of view of, this is my signature, this is my God-given gift. Nobody else has the same voice that I do. Nobody. It is attuned to me. It is part of my anatomy. There is no external instrumental technique that I need to learn here. I just need to breathe and create a tone with my vocal cords. And you can start very simply just with toning vowels. And check it yourself, Just go into a room after you're having a very intense or heated discussion with somebody, and just bring your voice into a place with maybe a bowl or something. Tap the bowl and just tone long tones with your vowels. You'll feel a difference afterwards. So yeah, it's interesting how people suddenly build a totally different relationship with their own anatomy when they realize, oh, I have this gift, and it's not just for me to sit down and gossip with or to kind of chit-chat about things. I can also use it as this point of reference to raise my vibration and raise the vibration of others.
For a couple of minutes here, but if you can loosen your lips a little bit, barely touch, really let your jaw hang, and just let those little tone levels for you. The hum travels down into the shoulders. Travels down into the kidneys, lower back, and spreading to all your internal organs, massaging.
When I connected with the aspects of sacred music and sacred sound and healing sound that are related to my own lineage, particularly from my own culture, the Iranian culture, and some of the indigenous aspects of my culture, of my own personal ethnicity. That was a big aha moment. Because there's something more that's in the blood there that you can bring to the surface, that it's like an automatic gift, like an automatic power that we have based on these incredible roots, the rich history. When you start to get into those medicine songs and start to bring them back to life and give them wings, you attune in a different way. it becomes so genuine. And these are very much about touching and opening the heart, I have found. And I find that that's really music's number one superpower of all the different things that it can do. To work with those instruments and the voice in such a way to touch somebody on an emotional level and let them feel safe to feel. And to not brush aside their emotions, not to try to send them to the back of their thoughts, but to really say, yeah, this is real, this is what it is to be human, is to feel. And I am not going to shy away from that. I am going to feel comfort to let those feelings come to the surface. Again, I want to give you the disclaimer that I'm not a classically trained anything. I don't have any classical training on a quote-unquote ostensible music level. But I have classical training as a sound therapist, as a serious art, as a style of expressing live and acoustic sound. And there's the didgeridoo, there's flutes, different various types of flutes. Various stringed instruments, various percussion instruments, drum. All of these instruments are bowls, crystal metal bowls. Yeah, all of these instruments they have different effects. So as a sound therapist, it's really up to us to be able to be comfortable navigating the different dimensions of life and the different instruments that connect to those dimensions, that are interface with those dimensions. The drums, the gong, the didgeridoo, all of these connect to one dimension. The stringed instruments and the more heart-opening instruments, the voice, the flutes, that's the toughest one for people to open and connect on their heart level. I can tell you that from the trainings I've done. It's the toughest one, and it's the most potent one. Creates the most vastness of transformation. And then the more mental opening for people who can learn how to be still and to work with silence, work with expansiveness, work with lifting and anti-gravitational energy. You need to be able to navigate all three. Most of our sound therapy sessions that you see are gong baths, focusing on one instrument, shamanic sound healings with drums and one type of instrument, crystal bowls and metal bowls, again, one type of instrument. If you really want to be able to experience the human world in its totality, then you have to navigate all three. We go up and down the elevator every day with different experiences, different interactions. We have different experiences we are problem solvers, we are emotional beings, we are in a physical reality that we have to interact with. We have to be able to build a relationship with Mother Earth and to connect with her, otherwise we start getting sick. This is scientific people who get blasted into outer space, the astronauts, if they don't have a recording of the vibration of the frequency of the earth played in their spaceships, they start to get sick very quickly.